Okay, we are recording. Hello and welcome to our motivation meetup for, it is Friday, September 30th here, but it is Saturday, October 1st in Australia. So welcome October. It'll be October here very soon as well. I'm just our topic tomorrow morning is very interesting, I think, because it's something that many of us will have to maybe confronting in our practice right now, maybe something that you've confronted in your practice at a time in the past, or will definitely confront at a time in the future, which is what happens when you experience something either physical, emotional, mentally, energetically, that asks you to completely change your practice. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do over the next few months is highlight some of the experience of our members. And sometimes we'll be doing that with having the person here with a live interview. But today I'm going to highlight a member. Her name is Jane Ellen, and she was more comfortable if I spoke about her experience for her. So she was a little nervous being interviewed. So we can do it this way as well. So I want you to be thinking as we go through this about how this relates to you in your life, past, present. Of course, unless you're psychic, you're not going to know how it's going to relate to you in your future yet. But think about how it relates to you. So we'll begin with our peace mantra to bring us together as student and teachers. So I'll just get you to feel your feet flat on the ground, close your eyes so that you can drop in internally and take a deep breath into your belly. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvina Vaditamastu Mavidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So that mantra means to protect us together, student and teacher. It brings us together for the good of all, unites us, it allows our time together to be peaceful, and it asks that our studies nourish us. So I like to start our practice together that way. Welcome, Delia. Thank you for joining us. Is my audio okay? Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, okay. So as I said, we're going to start by talking about, I think it's fine, darling.
Should be about there.
Okay. Is it better now? Okay.
No difference.
Excellent. No difference. Okay.
Glad I helped.
So I'm going to put it back down where it's more comfortable for me. It doesn't feel like it's in my face.
It's supposed to be a microphone.
I know, darling, but if it doesn't make any difference, then hi, Pam. Welcome. So as I said, we're going to start by going over something that all of us will experience from time to time, which is what happens when our practice when we're confronted in our practice by not being able to do it in the way that we're accustomed. And we'll be talking about Jane's experience because Jane's very graciously allowed us to share her experience tonight. And then we're going to go, all of us together, I'm going to share with you something that has been very valuable for Jane, which is a practice that has helped her traverse this time. And we're all going to go through that practice together. So, and I think it'll just help you to open your eyes to some ways to traverse more difficult times during your practice. So it's been really pivotal for Jane's healing. And after we go through this practice, I'm going to give you an opportunity to think about how that practice was for you. And then we'll give you time to talk about what your biggest takeaways were from this whole experience. So you will have lots of time for it to be interactive all the way through. You can ask questions. I'll mute you through the practices like I did at the beginning, so just to keep a quiet environment. But when it's time for us to have lots of interactions and questions, I'll unmute you so that you can do that as well. Just a few items of housekeeping before we get started. We will have our next motivational meetup on October 28th and 29th. So I've asked him to put those up in the membership community so that you can register for those. And you saw that that was actually quite easy to do. I would like to welcome our new members. So we've had some new members. We haven't had a meetup since August. So new members in August and September. So welcome to Mary Ann, Gro Marie, Saga, Jacqueline, Lyndon, Heidi, Christina, Hannah, and Mike, Anne, and Lorraine. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Jane's experience right now. And while I do that, I want you to be thinking about a time in your yoga practice or your meditation practice when things didn't go the way that you expected, and where you became frustrated with your practice because you couldn't do it the way that you were accustomed to be doing it. So think about how Jane's experience relates to you. And when you've experienced something similar, Jane's experience is physical, but there were emotional components to it as a result. And so your experience may be physical, but it may be something kind of more emotional, more mental, more energetic going on for you. So just think about how this relates to you in your life, because when I'm done, I'm going to be asking you to speak about experiences that may be similar in your life as well. So I'm going to see if I can switch this, my notes around a little bit. So I'm looking at you, not the opposite screen. Okay. So Jane's been practicing yoga on and off for over 40 years now, since she was 14 years old. And she had always had pain and various odd symptoms. And in the early 1990s, she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. She said this was a good thing because she had a diagnosis, but the bad part was that nobody knew what to do about it. At first, Jane learned about yoga from a couple of books and a publication called Cavendish Partwork, which I had never heard about it. But she says it's a series that was all the rage back then. And she remembers it came out every Thursday, and she couldn't wait to go to get it from the news agents. So Jane's from the UK. So for those of you, there probably won't be anybody from the UK right now because it's pretty much the middle of the night right now there. And then she says, then there was internet and YouTube, and she found the Yoga with Melissa classes, and she felt that her yoga really fell into place then. She said she began practicing yoga weekly at the beginning, and then every Friday as a new class was released. And then she found her practice really expanding to 2 and 3 times a week until she had quite a strong daily practice. And then she felt she needed more. She was looking for guidance and a place where she could connect with like-minded people. So then she became a member 3 years ago. And she says she really loves the membership community because it's a great place to go every day to practice, but also so much more. She really likes to be with people that she can identify with, learn from, laugh with, and even cry with. So until this summer, she had a daily yoga and meditation practice, which had been uninterrupted for almost 4 years. So she was in quite a groove. And she says everyone in her busy house accepted that and never interrupted her. And she even had a fairly regular day of silence. And then, so this is the point, everything is going well. And then all of a sudden in the spring of this year, she found a really strange lump beside her belly button, which was diagnosed as a hernia. And that really quickly became a huge hernia. And when she sent this to me, she said she actually looks about 7 months pregnant. So that would have been probably about 3 weeks ago when she sent this to me. And since then, she actually went in for an emergency operation on it. It got very serious. So at that time, she all of a sudden had a whole list of yoga postures and other things that she couldn't do. So she couldn't lie on her belly. She couldn't do any abdominal exercises. She found her balance changed completely. And this huge belly got in the way of everything. So her yoga practice became a series of restorative yoga classes, which up until that point she loved. But then she found it didn't take long before she became restless and bored. And then that inner critic comes up where she became very annoyed with herself. And then she felt really downright fed up. And I really appreciate her honesty in explaining this. Also, she found that the heat of the summer really added to that anxiety as well. So I am curious. Now I'm going to try and find you guys again because I hid you on my screen. There you are. Curious how many of you can relate to this. If you've had experiences like this where you've been thrown off course in your yoga practice, and if you might be willing to speak about that. So I'm unmuting everybody so you can speak.
I myself, I haven't had any health issues to prevent me from doing my regular yoga practice, but I have my interruptions mainly come when I have company, like for a week or so. Then I totally don't get any of that done. I may get my meditation in, but I don't get my yoga in. I just have to, entertain and spend time with my guests, like when my son comes up home or comes from Ontario, or when I went to Ontario this summer, it was like no yoga, no meditation, and I had to, it was hard, but I did it, and it sure felt good when I got back into it when I came back. But that was my experience with not doing my daily practice, not due to illness, but due to
So those external demands then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it sure felt good to get back into it when I got home and when guests leave and stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah. BJ? Whoever's phone's ringing, just mute yourself. So.
I find that my discipline goes a little bit haywire when I'm upset, and I find it very difficult to get myself out of the way. And or if another physical ailment rises to the surface, then I tend to kind of want to not explore other options. And so to me, it's more about discipline in myself as a person, that if I do get upset, I want to, I don't seem to have the energy to want to look at yoga as an option. And when I make myself do it, then it's always better. It always improves me. But it's interesting because it's also to do with, it can either be my mind getting in the way, my body getting in the way, my energy levels getting in the way, my connection with spirit that can get in the way, whether I have been thrown off kilter and I find it difficult to come back. And within that moment, that's where discipline for me comes up, because I want to go to sleep, or I want to eat something that I shouldn't be eating, or I want to drink coffee, or all those things that you talk about all the time about escapism. And I think that disciplined thing for me, and I actually see myself as a highly disciplined person. I am very disciplined, but they're the things that can get in the way for me and make me dip with my yoga practice.
Okay. Thanks, BJ.
I've also had some surgeries that have interrupted my practice. In fact, I've had 3 microdiscectomies, or bulging discs. And that was the reason 4 years ago, I think I found you, Melissa, and started, that's when I think I started my membership. And I did that for a preventative reason. I thought I've got to do everything I possibly can to keep myself healthy. And so this past year, when there were some other issues in my family, and I ruptured another disc right in the middle of, or right at the beginning of my 200-hour teacher training school,
Wow.
I thought, what am I doing wrong? And so
What a great experience, though, right? To go through that.
Oh,
I mean, it sounds like a catastrophe, but really, to go through it with that kind of injury.
Oh, absolutely. And it didn't, the good thing is it didn't prevent me from doing that.
Yeah.
But what I learned is that I'm not a studio yogi. I'm a homeschool yogi. I love my home practice. I love you being my teacher. I go back to some of the old series, and I find that having a daily practice it's just grounding for me. And when I can't practice physically, I still do my meditation, or I still do, the restorative kinds of yoga that I'm really interested in. And people asked why would I bother to do a teacher training if I didn't want to teach yoga? And really it was to deepen my practice, to understand more. I think 15 years ago I played with yoga, and now yoga for me is it's part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so to deepen that and understand that I'll never have it all together. It will come and it will go.
Yeah, nice.
And I will be injured, and things will happen. And so it's about modifying. But I think the decision I make to do it in my own home is it allows me no excuses. I don't have to drive to a studio. I don't, I have all my tools, all my props, and I'm happy and contented to do what I can when I can. And it is pretty much a daily practice. You can ask my husband.
Sounds like it really supports you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for speaking about that.
Sure.
Does anybody else want to speak about any of their experiences before we go into a practice?
I'll just add that one of the obstacles I used to think for me was not understanding how to make modifications when I needed to make modifications.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a number of surgeries, I've had cancer, I've had different things. None of those things really stumped me as much as when I got the hip issues that I have related to scoliosis and some things like that, so that I don't align quite right for twists or like where to put my feet and things like that. And then I realized that it's not so much not knowing how to do the adjustments. The bigger obstacle is the idea that yoga is always asana. It's like somehow getting a sense of the adjustments that I need to make for myself became easier when I stopped thinking of yoga as just asana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like if you're feeling it, you're doing it, right? And what it's going to look like in your body is going to be different. It's going to be unique, right?
And I had been a trail runner and really athletic. And I think I was attached to the idea of being athletic. And when I realized it could be something deeper, that connection is always really important to me because I'm a midwife too. And so those things weren't just athletic activities, they were a huge deep thing. And so once I started to relate to yoga that way, that was the biggest hurdle for me.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Beautiful. Does anybody else want to speak about any experience before we go into practice? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is lead you through the practice that was quite profound for Jane. you know, when she was really struggling with the restorative poses and getting bored with it and getting frustrated with herself. And then I put out this class, and some of you may have done this practice, in fact. But and I'll talk to you about our experience about it after, but I want you guys to have the experience at first. It was the experience was quite profound and quite deep, and not, I don't think, what she expected as well either. So now I know you're all sitting in chairs for this, but if there's some way that you could lie down on the ground with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, you don't need to see me. As long as you can still hear me, that would be perfect. And I'll just go ahead and mute you all. So just lie down on the ground, on your backs, your knees bent, and your feet flat on the floor. And I'm going to take you through a short guided practice. So just take a few moments to allow yourself to be completely comfortable. And let the back of your body settle into the ground. Each time you breathe out, allow your back body to settle into the ground even more deeply. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the back of your pelvis on the ground. Feel your elbows on the ground. Feel the back of your rib cage on the ground. Feel the back of your head on the ground. And with as little effort as possible, take the tips of your fingers and trace the lines at the base of your sternum. Trace the lines at the base of your sternum, your breastbone, and your rib cage. And as you draw a gentle line along the base of your rib cage, breathe in and out very calmly. So once you've become acquainted with the physical location of your diaphragm, you can place your hands down beside you again. Continue to breathe in and out gently, connecting with your diaphragm. So this is a fluid parachute-like dome. It holds your heart and lungs above your diaphragm. And as you breathe in and out, just see if you can sense a gentle interaction between your diaphragm and your heart and your lungs. Imagine you are initiating your breathing effortlessly internally from the center of your being, as though your organs are being breathed. Now begin to sense your organs that rest just below your diaphragm. So underneath the left side of your diaphragm is your stomach and your spleen. And underneath your diaphragm on the right side is your liver. And just continue to breathe in and out gently to feel the interaction between your diaphragm, your stomach and spleen, and your liver. And sense that initiation of your breathing quite effortlessly internally from the center of your being, as though your organs are being breathed. Now follow your diaphragm around the side of your body to the back of your body. And underneath your diaphragm at the back of your body are your kidneys. See if you can sense these organs resting at the back of your body and sinking into the ground with each breath that you take out. Breathe into the back of your body and allow your breath out to become longer and longer. With each breath you take, notice the luxurious expansion of your diaphragm and sense how your organs are massaged, rolled, and bathed in new blood, fluid, and oxygen. So each time you breathe, your diaphragm moves downward, creating space in your chest, and it allows your lungs to expand. Notice that each breath you take out, your diaphragm relaxes completely. And feel on your next breath in, and notice your diaphragm lowering, displacing the soft contents of your belly, creating more space in your chest. And as you breathe, notice how your diaphragm not only moves up and down, but also how it broadens and fans outwards. So sense this broadening and widening with each breath. Allow your awareness to drop into the free movement of your inner body. Feel the way your organs and your body migrate with the ebb and flow of your breath. And notice the rhythmic massaging action which your diaphragm gives your organs. So take a moment now to notice what stands out about your experience. Notice how you're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. And then set the intention to carry what you're experiencing with you as you gradually wiggle your fingers and your toes. And very gently roll to your right side. Pause there for a moment. Take a breath on your side. Continue to carry these sensations with you as you make your way back up to your seat. And as you make your way back up, I'll share with you Jane's experience, and then I'll give you an opportunity to speak about your experience. So, as I mentioned before, Jane had quite a rough summer. She hadn't been well, and her regular yoga practice, as she described it, really took a tumble. She was really only able to practice a very limited number of classes, and she became quite agitated. You guys all look so different now. Remember this feeling. She became quite agitated, bored, and lonely. But so at the beginning of September, I released a class, and there were a lot of safe poses in them that she could do. And then I released this practice, which was the diaphragmatic breathing that's at the beginning of the brain yoga breakdown series. So she thought, and I directed her to this class. I said, you need to be doing this class right now. So she practiced the diaphragmatic breathing class, but she remembered nothing about it. So, and I said, keep doing it. So what was happening for Jane was she was going into such a deep sleep. And then when she actually came, she would sleep for like an hour. Like she would do this practice and she slept for an hour. So then the following day she decided to do the practice again, and she had the exact same experience. And she said this happened 3 times. She'd hear the beginning of the class and she'd wake up at the end. And at the time she wasn't able to get past this power napping. But what she was finding was she would have this incredible change in her mood. She was feeling much more settled, very deep sense of contentment and peace. And she said it as a 40-day practice, and she's doing lots of journaling with it. So my sense was, I said, just keep doing it. My sense was, as their teachers, that she was receiving a really, really deep level of healing. You know, when you sleep, your body is able to do all the healing that it needs to do. So I think this is an incredible practice. When you are ill, when you're experiencing those times in your life when things are feeling very emotionally unsettling, or you just don't have the energy to practice, I think that for some reason we tend to just discount breath as an option. That, I do yoga, I breathe, but breath is incredibly powerful. It's the most powerful practice that we have available to us. And to put that at the center of your practice when your practice is troubled is a really, really great option. So I'm going to unmute you all now so you can have an opportunity to speak about what this experience was like for you, what stood out for you about this experience for you.
And that incredibly soothing.
Who's that? Michelle?
Yeah, that's me.
Can you just speak up a little bit, Michelle?
Yeah, I was just saying that I found it incredibly soothing.
Mm-hmm. You want to say more about that? Or, I mean, that's enough, but...
Yeah, it actually feels like it's the same sort of feeling I get after a really good vinyasa practice, but without all the effort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something deeply nurturing about having these practices that are very soothing. When we can meet ourselves like this, our nervous systems, you guys hear me say this all the time, I think, our nervous systems are incredibly ramped up because of the kind of lives that we lead. And when we take the time to settle like this, it's so incredibly nurturing. These practices are what we need. Yeah.
For me, everybody, I just felt like I was allowing myself to be breathed and filling myself with a sense of, through the breath, allowing myself to release burden. So burden for me could come in the shape of negative thinking or tension in my body. And when I allow myself to breathe, it's as if in that moment, those physical tensions or emotional tensions or mental tensions have nothing to cling on to. They don't have anything there that they can grab onto. And that whatever is hiding there in the muscles or the mind, it's like a cleansing or a clearing, being breathed into a relaxed or a released state. And in that regard, I was just writing all of this down after I went through the experience. It brings back to me the state of being grounded also, and stability. And it reminds me of the tree pose, when I do the tree pose, to allow my body to move with the breath, like the wind moving the tree, and that the breath then allows me to move with the flow.
Mm-hmm. So what stands out to me about that is something that my meditation teacher right now, I think I've shared with some of you that I've started with a new lineage of meditation, and my meditation teacher right now talks a lot about how relaxation is our natural state. And when we can do practices like this, and this practice is the closest to what I'm practicing right now that I've shared with you, it allows us to tap into that natural state. that already exists, our natural state of relaxation, right? This state of buzziness and nervous system, that's not our natural state. And you guys can feel that when you drop into it, that feels, like you talk, when the words that you use, that sense of grounding and breathe, it almost feels like coming home, right? It feels,
because of stress and anxiety, I found out several months ago that my body is almost locked in a perpetual state of fight or flight syndrome. The fibromyalgia, the chronic fatigue, all that stuff, that's been one of my biggest obstacles for the past probably 3 years. And all the little frustrations that go along with it. My adrenals are, of course, I'm in repair now, but my adrenals are this close to being completely shut down. They're in such fatigue. Laying there, I realized that's what it touched on. That's what it was just like, okay, this is going to bring healing to your adrenals. You need this. And a couple of times I had to kind of ask myself, have I fallen asleep? And this is what was going on kind of my head, but it wasn't really my head. It was more like divinity speaking. It was like, this is the way you're supposed to feel. You're more rested now than when you are actually in bed. And there was once I had to get up to kind of check my screen because I didn't know if I was dreaming. I mean, it was a very strange sensation for me because I don't think I have felt that kind of sensation maybe ever. So when you were describing that that's your true, that's the way it's supposed to be, that was yes, that's what I just heard. And I'm ready to go back there. Like, can we now?
Yeah.
No,
it's on the site. You can listen to it anytime, right?
I will. And I've done it before, but that was the first. I mean, this was, it was very special. I appreciate this tonight. I needed it because I am, I've had a long couple of weeks and I'm ready for a restful night's sleep. And I think I might get it tonight. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And if you fall asleep, it's okay. Like that's why I think that Jane's experience is so powerful, and why I wanted to share it with all of you is that the experiences we shared it, she didn't actually get past the point of actually being consciously able to hear the meditation. She would hear the meditation and then her body would just go like plunk. Right. And I think that's because that was where her body needed to go to do the healing at that time. And to trust that your body knows what it needs to do. So if you need to sleep, then sleep. Right? Like people always say to me, like, "Oh, I'm so tired. What yoga should I do?" I'm like, sleep, right? You're tired, sleep. Yeah.
I find that sometimes, well, like even tonight, when I was laying down and listening to you, I found that I faded in and out, and I was sometimes I didn't hear your voice, and then your voice would come back, and I find that in my daily meditation too. I will do deep back, and I do you too, the shamatha, the 24-minute one. I try and do that once a week on the weekends, and I'll be listening to your voice, and your voice will come and go, and yeah, I find that I've even fallen asleep and just your body jumps, like that sensation that happens. I'm sure other people have experienced it too, but yeah, I find that I go in and out with my meditations, or like even tonight. That's right.
So it's a little different when you're doing a seated meditation where your focus is on like on your breath, where that's where your focus is. But this practice is a reclined, lying down practice. The intention is very much to release tension from your body, to be as relaxed as possible. That is really the intention behind it, to release, to be with the fluidness of the diaphragm, to release tension. So it's a great practice to do before you come up for an awareness practice like shamatha, so that you can be in relaxed awareness when you come into it. If you have that feeling of falling asleep when you're doing a shamatha practice, then you don't have enough vividness in your practice, and you need to focus more on your inhalation. So they're different practices. But this is definitely a practice because we just our bodies are carrying so much tension, our nervous systems are carrying so much tension. So let's address that. Let's come into our physical bodies. Let's release the tension into the ground, and then once we've adjusted to that, then let's sit up and do a mindfulness practice, but not until the tension's gone. Because otherwise you're just sitting there like, or I'm so exhausted I can't stay awake for my meditation practice, right? So that's the thoughts behind it. And it becomes that your body gets used to this state of relaxation. And it will, I love how my teacher says this, it will no longer tolerate tension. You get more and more used to this state of relaxation. The more you practice relaxation. Anybody else want to speak about their experience with this guided breath practice tonight, this morning? So if you want to do it again, it's in the, you want me to show you where it is in the membership community?
Please.
Okay, so let's see. That doesn't look right. Okay, are you looking at the membership community now?
Yes.
Okay, great. If you go to the short videos, I have to log in again. That's Tim, apparently. No. Okay. Short videos. Then you scroll down. This could be in the anxiety section. Should be in the anxiety section as well. Go to the brain yoga breakdown in the brain yoga video section. And go to diaphragmatic breathing video. It's a 12-minute practice. You could put it on repeat, Nicole. And that's it. In the video, I just assumed you wouldn't have your props with you, but in the video, I teach it with a bolster under your knees. So that is it.
This did trigger for me a connection with the book study that we're doing.
Yes.
The exhalation, and although I may not have been responding on the site, I have been reading that, and I find that really helpful, especially the exhalation and the rounding of the belly. I'm so surprised at how much tension I carry there. So that's been really helpful for me. I just wanted to mention that.
So can you say more about what about the exhalation?
Well, I think, for me, it was thinking about the actual practice of releasing all the toxins that you carry in your body.
Yes.
And so before reading that, it was sort of just an automatic practice of inhale, exhale. And for me, the more information I have about what specifically is going on in my body, the more that helps me and motivates me to be more proficient with that particular practice. And so it feels more efficient. It feels like I'm actually cleansing, like, the whole filter issue. It just feels so appropriate. And the other thing I would mention too is, for me, during the practice this night, I have done the diaphragmatic exercise when it first came out. It was very different for me tonight. I was relaxed, but I felt a really intense energy. That sort of that, when I first learned what prana was, it was that sort of vibrancy in my limbs that I haven't felt that for a long time. So that was really nice.
I think there's power in coming together and also setting intention around it like this. Yeah. So you might not have come to it like that, right? With that kind of expectation.
Right.
But when we build the expectation around it like this, it creates a lot of power around it, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I like what you're saying about the exhalation, and particularly when you lie down on your back and breathe out too, that is a real opportunity to let go into the ground too.
Mm-hmm.
You can really sink and drop down and when you're thinking of exhalation and letting that be purifying, you can really use that to drop any physical tension in your body as well. So not like, I don't know how you're thinking of toxins, but any kind of physical tension you're carrying in your body, you can release out through your back body into the ground and just sink and sink and sink and feel that support of the earth underneath you too. That's just going to allow you to relax more and more and more with each breath out. So that breath out is incredibly powerful. As you breathe in, you'll feel yourself coming up into your body a little bit more. As you breathe out, you'll feel yourself sinking into the support of the earth more and more and more. That alone can be your practice. Yeah. Feel yourself in your body. Exhale, sinking into the ground, feeling the support of the earth underneath you. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all for being here and sharing your practice with us tonight. I'd love to just go around and hear from everybody about what stood out for you as a whole tonight. What's one thing that you're taking away?
Well, I appreciate seeing, hearing and holding the stories of all the other women that are there and actually taking it in visually and seeing it in the gallery. Thank you very much. It's great to see you. And, because when you're on the chat, it's just a bit different than really connecting in this medium. And also, I just got such a strong sense of the circle of women doing the same process, and that there was actually, I do a lot of circle work, that there's actually that thread holding us all together. And I just felt that energetically that, we're all on the same page. And maybe that's, for me, why it was so powerful doing that meditation and coming together, that, it wasn't just me in isolation, and that, not that I ever get a real sense that I'm in isolation, but this just makes it more real for me. So thank you so much. That was very poignant and meaningful for me today. And thanks to Tim too for setting it all up, Alyssa.
Yeah. And, I feel each time we come together, and like today, especially because we all came together, we add a charge to this meditation now, right? In all directions of time. So the next time you come to this meditation, it's got more charge.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
Mhm. And each time one of you does this practice now, you're adding to that, right?
I can actually feel that on the videos too,
Yeah.
Melissa.
Yeah.
When I do a practice and then I do it again and I see that more people have done it
Yeah.
since the last time, it is actually more powerful.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I agree. That's what made when you brought up the circle. So when we come together and when you bring your energy to the practice, you know, just know you're contributing something very powerful. And I'm bringing that up because you all felt it tonight, but the next time you come to it, you're tapping into what you did together here at this time, but then you're also contributing to the next time in all directions of time as well.
So Melissa, is that why then that's why each time we do it, it is more powerful?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because I do notice the difference.
And also I think because you're more open to it. Like the first time you're learning it.
Right.
It's new. So Marsha, your experience, you're saying you've done it before, but tonight it was more powerful. I think it's partly the group, but also because it wasn't all brand new too. So each time you repeat it, you're going more deeply into it because your thinking mind's able to drop away as well, and you're just able to go more into the embodied experience as well. But yeah. Okay, I'd love to hear from other people about what you're taking away. We'll just do one little gem you're taking away.
I think for me, there's two big ones, and that's I realized tonight that I'm getting closer to my truer nature, and I've struggled with my own internal divine, and I feel like that was very present. So two realizations for me that I'm becoming more aware and accepting of what I'm supposed to be.
Nice.
Thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you.
And for me, I think while not a self-professed studio yogi, connections like this with others who are devoted to their practice are very meaningful, really important, and provide something that I don't get with my own personal practice. So thank you to everyone.
Yeah, thanks for being here and being part of that connection, Marsha.
Yeah, thank you.
This isn't profound at all, but every time I ever do any kind of practice that I'm still and relaxed, either one of my dogs or my cat comes and gets in my lap or my arms. And he's over here now doing his like happy dance. This one. He joined us. He was so funny.
I think that is
came and curled up right next to me.
Yeah, they're attracted to the energy.
They love the little yoga room.
I was talking to Tina about that this week when I interviewed her, and we were saying how you guys have seen those episodes where the animals will come from all over. Right? Yeah, like ridiculous.
Your Snow White episodes.
Snow White episodes. Yeah. I'm not even an animal person. I'm really glad Jim is. Right? But if I start doing yoga on a mat, they come from all over. So I think that it speaks to the energy that was being created. So that's amazing, Pam.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please, Allison.
I was going to say that I just find I'm pretty quiet, kind of, when there's a lot of us together, but I like that I find I can learn a lot when I hear other people speaking of their experiences. So even I had read what Jane had written, online, but having you explain it, and because I couldn't understand honestly how you can fall asleep like that, because I usually cannot relax enough that I would fall asleep, right? So it helps me to understand, but also I've never really been able to relax until I've been doing yoga. And then how I feel when I do a breath practice like that, it's like this total calm you know, that comes over me that's like amazing. And it's just like I want to stay like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those experiences they'll stay with you longer and longer.
Love that.
Yeah. And a big thanks to Jane too for allowing us to share her story tonight. Anybody else like to speak a takeaway before we say goodbye? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for contributing to the practice tonight. It is really powerful for us to come together like this, as you all experienced. This is our yoga class. We get to come together. We're looking at doing more of this as a community through our leadership team, because it is so powerful to be able to put the faces to the names and to come together and to hear about people's experiences. So that is something that we're looking to do more of. So you just keep your ears open with the membership minutes and eyes open on the community, and please share your experiences and stories, because that is the most powerful thing. And I will reach out to you when you do, so that we can share them more broadly as well, because you see that how powerful it is to hear everybody, other people's experiences. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Good night, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye, everybody.